I know, straight away you're like, Simon, why are you in some strange room? Well, it's nice and simple. If WWE doesn't have to care about Hell in a Cell 2019 because they only announced 4 shows before it even began, why do I have to care too? It's not true at all. I was basically traveling for wrestling this weekend, and there was a bit of a hoo-ha when it came to where I was meant to be on Sunday evening, but luckily I had my travel kit, and damn it, no matter where I am, no matter what the day is, no matter if the world is coming to an end, I have to up those damn downs, especially when we get incidences like Hell in a Cell 2019. So this will forever be known as the odd episode where Simon just came at us from a bizarre location. But let's up those downs. The kickoff show was stranger than everything I've just talked about because we did indeed get Lacey Evans versus Natalya, even though the last time they fought, the commentators made it very clear to tell us, oh, by the way, these two are never ever going to fight again. But on top of that, not only did Natalya win after she got the sharpshooter onto Lacey, but then later on in the evening we were told, oh, yeah, also on Raw tomorrow night, they're going to have a last man standing match, which means they are going to continue to fight until the universe just implodes. Down. Randy Orton then interrupted Ali and told him, do you remember when I injured you months ago and that's why you got kicked out of the title picture? So make sure that goes in your brain. This wasn't Ali going out there for revenge. This was Randy telling him, I haven't forgotten, and therefore they are going to have a match later. So I presume Ali just didn't give 2 hoots. Hell in a Cell then properly started, and it was Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. And straight up, it was just great. I would have liked to have seen Banks won, but she didn't, but it didn't matter. Becky Lynch is the man, everybody loves her. All of this was fine. Tick some boxes and give it up. Before the bell even rang, Sasha attacked Becky, which meant they were engaged in a big brawl, and at one point Lynch even got like the chain lock from the Hell in a Cell door, and she was just pounding away on Sasha's face, and eventually the match did get going proper. It was just crazy. I mean, what was there? There was chairs, there was ladders. At one point, I don't even know if I can explain it. Like, Becky got a chair, and she got some kendo sticks, and she stuck the kendo sticks in the hole in the Hell in the Cell in the corner. Then she then set the chair on top of those kendo sticks, and she drop kicked Sasha Banks right in the face. Now, don't get me wrong, this was completely unnecessary. It didn't add any extra gravitas to said drop kick, but it looked damn decent, and I appreciated the ingenuity. This really was an utter war, and credit to both of them. They looked at the structure and went, well, what can we do that maybe the audience hasn't seen before? As I've already said, WWE did stick to task here, which meant after the exploder, or the Bexploder, off the top rope into a pool of chairs, Becky then locked on the disarmer and Sasha Banks tapped out, and that was that. Sasha also looked like a kid who got to Christmas and opened their presents to find she hadn't got a Super Nintendo. And Becky Lynch looked like, while she was proud, she had been through a war. I think WWE is actually going to try and get one more match out of this, even though Becky has now pretty much whooped Sasha Banks' ass twice. But I'd be okay with it. They have great chemistry, and this was an awesome start to a very, very problematic pay-per-view. Also, please do note that during this, the commentators told us at least 5 times, Booker T, 5 times, that anything goes in the Hell in the Cell. Store that away upstairs. It was then pre-advertised match number 2, which was Roman Reigns teaming with Daniel Bryan to take on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. And this was just nice, solid, fun, entertaining stuff. I've already had to have this conversation on Twitter this morning, but sometimes you do have to take matches as they come and not get to the end of the pay-per-view and go, well, I'm just going to go and down everything because I didn't like how the thing finished. You've got to take every match, like I say. You've got to give it its own credit. It's not fair. So when it comes to this, give it up. Don't really have much to tell you, but I mean that as a positive. The whole idea of this seemed to be to turn Daniel Bryan backface. And while that is kind of disappointing because we never really got a proper character arc for his environmentalist persona, everybody loves the crap out of Daniel Bryan, so we may as well put him back in a position where we can cheer him and say that we love his greasy looking hair. That was the deal here as well. The big guys took over for the majority of the match because they are big guys and they know how to kick ass, but amazingly, eventually Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns got back into it. Bryan gave Harper the running knee. Harper then got speared by Roman. 1, 2, 3, and that was that. And my big worry, really, is that now Luke Harper may vanish again. He hasn't seemed very happy on social media, hence probably why he took the pin here too. After all this, Roman Reigns went to shake Daniel Bryan's hand, but he was having none of that. The crowd booed, but the reason was Daniel wanted a big hug instead. They did embrace in the ring, and it made you feel like everything was going to be all right in your life. Now, just a little small teeny part of me thinks that maybe Bryan may actually turn on Roman for reasons I'll never be able to understand, just so we can get a match out of those two. But I think that's me being a conspiracy theorist. All in all, this made me feel all peaches and cream. It's a lovely life lesson to learn here as well. Even if somebody does accuse you of murder, there's always a way to find your way through to the other side and forgive them. So remember that next time you're holding a grudge. Also, shout out to Michael Cole, who said after this, they were quite the team, weren't they? And he sounded so much like a proud dad. I just laughed. I had a little bit of a giggle. I was like, good for you, Michael Cole. I'm glad your sons have done right by you. Seth Rollins was then backstage talking, but it doesn't matter what he said because the Seth Rollins character is officially dead. Brains on the floor, zombies, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to get to it later. Orton versus Ali was rather entertaining as well. Give it up. So yeah, it was absolutely nuts that this did ironically come out of nowhere when probably somebody backstage went, wait, we didn't announce any matches for Hell in a Cell. And they were looking around and go, Randy Orton, he'll do, and Ali, brilliant. It's like playing WWE 2K20. But look, here is the thing, and I know some people won't agree with me, that's fine, whatever. Randy Orton is considered a main event guy. Ali was at least put in a match against the main event guy, and he did his amazing offense, which always does look amazing, and I think he did benefit here just a little bit, although he should have won. Mostly because there was also this really cool spot where Randy went to give him the RKO, but he kind of like press-upped out of it. I can't really explain it. So he's falling down, but he used his arms, his own momentum, to pop back up, and then all of a sudden it looked like he was going to get the victory. He didn't. Instead, like some kind of fool, he just ran into another RKO. That was it. Randy Orton got the win, but no offense to Mustafa Ali, it's not his fault. He's barely featured on television recently, so I just enjoyed seeing him on the pay-per-view. I had a good time. And given how I felt by the end of this, right now I'm going to hold on to every single good time I've ever had since the day I was born. We then entered crazy time, because despite no build, despite no announcement, despite no nothing, Kairi Sane and Asuka then defeated Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the women's tag team championships. I mean, what even are these belts? It's like they're some kind of secret mystery, and WWE doesn't even control them. Maybe they've been told by the belts themselves, like a secret mouths, and they go, if you don't do what we want, we will open the gates of hell. And WWE's like, well, we don't want to open the gates of hell unless Kane is around. We better just do what the belt says. However, you know how I feel about the Kabuki Warriors and their just sheer lack of television time. Let's get it up. There's more to this as well, as Sane and Asuka went heel. That's right, you heard me right, or at least that's what seemed to be suggested here, because when Asuka and Nikki Cross were in the ring, Asuka just got pissed off. She blew the green mist into her face, like Tajiri used to do back in the day. She then kicked her in the nose. 1, 2, 3. Again, you've got brand new tag team champions. Now, what does this mean for Kairi Sane? If Kairi Sane is a bad person, is she now like an evil pirate? Is she going to go out there and like plunder ships and steal treasure? Could be the storyline of 2019. Hopefully they start to get a posse and call them the Scallywags, because back in the day, that's what pirates used to call their crew. But yeah, who would have thought this even 24 hours ago? Kairi Sane and Asuka, your new women's tag team champions. I mean, sometimes those belts feel like a bit of a crutch, and when you do get given them, you just vanish. But these two had vanished anyway. At least they finally had their moment in the sun. And also, if they are going to be bad guys, I don't know, maybe it gives them more weight to be inserted into storylines, and two of the best wrestlers, not only in WWE, but on the entire world, should finally be allowed to wrestle. I'm not going to get mad at that. With all that said, though, I do think the treatment of these titles so far has been absolutely perplexing, because don't forget, they only came into being in February, and here we are in October, and they just feel like an absolute waste of time. They feel a bit like a novelty. There's only one thing we can do when you realize that: give it a down. The Viking Raiders and a mystery opponent versus the OC was next. Let's get it down to. My main issue was, to balance out the numbers, WWE had told us, very last minute, that the Viking Raiders were going to get a mystery opponent. And when you use the word mystery, you get fans excited, and I can understand that. I mean, one of the names going around was, maybe it's John Morrison, and that would have been terrible. What a terrible way to re-debut someone. But when it turned out to be Braun Strowman, you're like, I see Braun Strowman every week. He's just a dude on the roster. That would be me saying to you, come round to my house for dinner. I have an incredible surprise guest. You're like, well, we better go to Simon's house. He's got an incredible surprise guest. And then there's a knock on the door. Use the table, use this bizarre environment that I've got. And it's my mum. You'd be like, okay, great. I mean, lovely, Mrs. Miller. You're a wonderful lady. But really? However, love to all the mums out there. I appreciate every single one of you. But really, the main reason for this down is the finish. At one point, everybody was just brawling in the ring, and the referee went, got out of control. I can't control it because I'm a WWE official, and I absolutely suck. Therefore, I'm just gonna throw the thing out. I hate it when they do that. The Viking Raiders then beat up Gallows and Anderson, and as AJ Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, Braun Strowman just punched him out of the air because he is now feuding with Tyson Fury. We are living in the second age. However, this is where I do shout out AJ Styles and say, AJ Styles, you are one of the best things on WWE TV, because he sold this like he had lost his brain, to the point Gallows and Anderson had to tell him it's Sunday and you are in California. He is just the absolute best. I love you, AJ. Tamina then won the 24/7 title. I mean, okay, why the hell not? Because no one's meaner than Tamina. We were backstage with the Street Profits and they were doing their thing. Then Carmella turned up and R-Truth was there. And of course, Tamina, after watching WWE TV, thought to herself, well, I can use the most devastating finish, the most devastating move in all of WWE, which is the surprise roll-up. She surprised Carmella with the roll-up. Like I say, new 24/7 champ, not for long. Okay, let's shine some light on WWE before we absolutely rip them to pieces, because we then did get Chad Gable versus Baron Corbin, and they did what they had to do, even though they had to throw some shenanigans in there. But still, I got the winner that I wanted. Give it an up. Now, there was a bunch of short jokes beforehand by Baron Corbin, who also called him Shorty Gable, and I was sat there. I was like, please don't make that stick now. But it must have done, because when Chad Gable did win, I'm going to praise that in 1 second, when he did win, even the announcer went, and the winner of the match is Shorty Gable. Now, I thought that was meant to be an insult, so why is he insulting Chad Gable? He is meant to be a partial and a neutral entity. Down. But clearly Chad Gable had been sitting there with Tamina and watching WWE programming recently, because when he saw his opportunity to roll Baron Corbin up, most devastating move in all of WWE, he did, and he did get the victory. Now, there was some hoo-ha in here because Baron Corbin was going to hit him with the scepter, and the referee was like, no, don't hit him with the scepter. And during that distraction, that is when Chad Gable rolled her up, but I don't care. The opposite of this would have been Baron Corbin winning, and Baron Corbin didn't need to win. Chad Gable needed to continue to be pushed. Even though within like 20, I knew this was going to happen. I'm going to interrupt myself, but I knew this was going to happen. I said to myself, well, that's great that he won, but I bet on Raw, Baron absolutely kicked his ass. And WWE didn't even wait till Raw. He had a backstage interview about 30 minutes later, and Baron Corbin was just whipping his ass. So by the time the pay-per-view finished, you were thinking, well, I guess Chad Gable's kind of cool, but also Baron Corbin still got the upper hand. But, you know, I like the fact he won. I got a cheer out of me. And again, we're getting into the depths soon. Got to take what we can get. R-Truth then won the 24/7 championship. I mean, I don't know, you tell me. But as the international commentators were being introduced, including Funaki, that damn hero, he makes my heart sing. Tamina was using Funaki as a shield. That allowed Carmella to super kick her, but she didn't make the pin. R-Truth did. And like I say, once again, he is back as being the champ. Anyone else getting confused with the narrative and the story here? Me too. Charlotte versus Bayley was all right, though. It was probably better than that, and I'm still reeling from what came afterwards. But as I'm going to repeat here, we don't take a dump, as horrible as I thought that is, we don't take a dump on matches that preceded the main event just because the main event may have had some serious issues. That's not fair on Charlotte, and that's not fair on Bayley. Up. Flair did win the SmackDown Women's title for the 10,222nd time, and I got no problems with that because it just makes all the sense in the world. WWE sees Flair as one of their big stars. They're now on Fox. They want to make sure Charlotte gets to the next level. So yeah, just put the title back on her. Who really cares? This was pretty good too. Bayley kept trying to be a heel because she is a heel, including at one point doing a pin on Charlotte but using the ropes, which is illegal. And remember that, the ref saw this, but he didn't DQ her. I just want you to keep that in your minds for the time being. But Charlotte used that to advantage. She booted Bayley in the face. Then she locked her in the figure of eight. That is not the figure of eight. That is me having some kind of freak out. Bayley tapped out. She was really upset too, much like Sasha Banks earlier. Charlotte, your new champ. You've also got to assume this means that Becky Lynch stays on Mondays and Charlotte stays on Fridays, and that does make sense. Again, these are kind of like the two pillars of WWE's women's division, so you're going to want to make sure they shine at the start of the week and at the end of the week. We'll find out in the draft. happening on Friday. Which brings us to our main event. You know what? Let's start at the start. For a while there, it was absolutely brilliant. Let's go. First and foremost, the treatment of the Fiend here rocked. The lighting in the arena stayed red a la Kane 1997, and Bray Wyatt just no-sold everything he was given. At one point, he was being twonked with kendo sticks, and he just looked around like it was a feather. It got me excited. It actually kind of gave me goosebumps on my face. And it was pretty much the same as this for the entire match. He took 2 million curb stomps and a pedigree, and do you know what happened when Seth Rollins went to pin him? He kicked out at 1. Now, I know this kind of just poos all over finishes, but WWE does that anyway, and you may as well do it here because you had a reason and you had a point to do it. It made Bray come across like a monster, and surprise, surprise, do you know what we have been told up to this point? That Bray Wyatt the Fiend is a monster. Tick, 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 tick. There was still some nonsense, like the commentators overreacting to the fact that Bray Wyatt got his big mallet that he's been using on the Firefly Funhouse, because Dio Madden even said, oh my gosh, it's the hammer, it's the mallet from the Firefly Funhouse that killed Ramblin' Rabbit. Dio, Ramblin' Rabbit is a puppet. I could kill a puppet with a fork, a plastic fork. You wanna know why? It's a puppet. And there were other odd calls during this as well. Like again, at the start, it was Dio, no offense my friend, but you did happen to have 2 of these, because Dio said, oh, look into the Fiend's eyes. He's not showing any fear. You could tell that, could you? Even though the guy was wearing a mask and he wears contact lenses. Like sometimes we don't need to oversell things. Sometimes we don't need to overthink things. That's my point here. We don't need to oversell and we don't need to overthink. Let's just get on with it. Because it was all going so well and it was serving this character we have done a great job in building up over the 6 months, and then it just fell into the floor. And I'm not alone, because Twitter blew up, social media blew up in general, and fans in the arena were so annoyed, they booed, they chanted they want refunds, and once the camera was off, apparently it was just an absolute vocal riot. More importantly than that though, it was rubbish and it was just something that nobody wanted to see. And now I'm just gonna run you through it. I'm just gonna let you know, and then you can make your own mind up, because Bray Wyatt was lying on the floor and Seth Rollins put a ladder on his face. Then he got some tools and he hit him with the tools. Then he put the tools on top of the ladder, which of course was on Bray Wyatt's face. He then went and got a sledgehammer, which by the way, was smaller than the mallet he'd already hit Bray Wyatt with. The referee was all like, Seth, what are you doing? Think of the children, man. Think of your life. Think about your future. Which again makes no sense, because it's Hell in a Cell, and you only put people in Hell in a Cell because you want to let them do whatever the hell they want to do. Think about the first one we saw, we didn't take on Shawn Michaels. Anyway, Seth was like, screw you, referee. I don't have to listen to you. He took the sledgehammer, he hit the tools, which hit the ladder, which hit Bray Wyatt's face. I'm running out of bed, I'm not taking a breath. And the referee disqualified him, or at the very least, called off the match. There is just absolutely no logic here, especially when you go through the entire card. So Becky and Sasha can hit them with whatever they find under the ring, but if Seth Rollins combines that into some kind of magic potion, well, that's too much for Hell in a Cell. So this is the world we have created ourselves now when it comes to these kind of matches. Chairs fine, ladders fine, tools fine, mallets fine, but if you put them all together, that is not fine, and I'm gonna say we're not allowed to do this match anymore. You know what? I'm not even upset. I'm just really, really disappointed. We've already mentioned mothers once in this ups and downs. Let's mention it again. I feel like the mother of Bray Wyatt, and I feel like he wasn't given a fair crack at the whip. Also, this has just utterly killed Seth Rollins' character. He wasn't having the best time of it anyway, but now the audience will use him as their focus for saying, why did we do this? Because they were booing. They were booing. Before we'd even got to the actual end point, all the fans like, this is rubbish. We just want Bray Wyatt to win. He was doing so well. He was kicking out 1. And now the Fiend is just Bray Wyatt once again. When I say that, I mean the cult leader, Bray Wyatt. He talks and he's cool and you believe it, but when push comes to shove, he can't get the job done. Also, does Seth Rollins really need to be the Universal Champion right now? Wouldn't it be fun, even if you only did it for a month, to give it to Bray Wyatt? Don't get me wrong, I think that's a mistake too, but at least right now, we wouldn't be in this position. We even let Kane win in 1998 when he took on Steve Austin in a First Blood match. We found a way around that to put the title on the Big Red Machine, because we understood, well, we can't job Kane out like that. Look at him. And yet in 2019, what was it? 11 years, 22, whatever long it is, I can't even work out, 20 years on. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I don't understand. What am I now meant to take away from the Fiend? Great, he can take a beating, but if you beat him up too much, the referee will protect him, even though he's a terrifying dude walking around like a serial killer. Why couldn't we have just done something different? So many whys. Whys till the end of days. I haven't even upped or downed it. It's a down. Of course it's a down. It's a brown down. No, it's like a double brown down, a triple brown down. I can't even think of anything. What's worse than a brown down? a yellow down, like what am I even talking about? All in all, a rule like this shouldn't exist in this kind of a match. And I actually don't think Hell in a Cell, all things considered, that there was no matches beforehand, was that bad. But when the spinning hour comes out, it gives it a down. And that's no disrespect to a lot of the stuff that came before this, but I can't get the taste out of my mouth. I just can't. It's like an animal walked up to me, defecated in my mouth, and now I really regret saying that. Look what you're doing to me, WWE. You are reducing me to a bald-headed moron who is in a hotel room. Nothing makes sense to. I'm leaving. I can leave because there's no lot. See ya. All right, I'm back. Now you know the rules. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling. Let's all just calm down. Go and follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. Join in all the yelling. What else do we do? Oh, WhatCulture.com. That's got articles. You can read about all the fans booing and going crazy afterwards. Watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. Bray Wyatt, dead. October 2019. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Camera just went weird and screwed up the lights. Let's just end the video. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I sound like Victor Meldrew. You won't know who that is if you're in the USA. Just know it's not ideal. Shall I leave again?